Ladies and gentlemen, today on the program, I am delighted to welcome back our old friend Carly Thomas for what was supposed to be a celebratory episode. We were supposed to be celebrating San Francisco winning the Super Bowl, Carly being a 49ers fan. But as all you Swifties out there will know, it didn't quite work out that way. However, we still managed to have a fun conversation about what Carly's been up to, and about her songwriting process, and about spending time in Nashville, and about self-doubt, and about television and movie theme music, and some of the stuff that people talk about when they have spent time on the road together. It is a fun one. It's an insightful one. I hope you will be entertained and inspired by it. And we'll get to it on the other side. Hello. You're listening to the John Huff Podcast. Oh, yay. So it's the day after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm just going to lay down. I'm just going to lay down during this episode. I just need to lay down.
Well, you are on the comfy couch.
I know. I'm excited about that.
I was desperate for San Francisco to win just because I wanted to introduce you as a Super Bowl fanpian.
Oh my God.
I came up with that word. I don't think anybody else has come up with that word. And
I like it.
Super Bowl fanpian.
I'm a Super Bowl sad fan right now.
You are.
I've done it to myself. I had this thing where I love watching big sports events and seeing the fans that like paint their whole face and dress up and like do the whole like just super elaborate costumes, and then to watch the camera pan on them when their team loses and they're so sad in their makeup. And I just get a kick out of it. So I feel like this is my, like, the sports gods are rubbing that in my face right now.
That's so cruel.
I know.
There was a dude, a Bills fan, a couple weeks ago when Kansas City beat them, and they flashed him in the crowd, and he was openly weeping.
Yeah.
And they were just bagging on this guy online.
It's heartbreak season.
It's rough. Have you ever seen your team win a championship in any sport?
No.
Really?
Stop it.
You've had some heartbreaks.
Yeah.
Vancouver
and
Canucks
I was
come to mind.
I was a big Canucks fan. And then they went to Game 7 with Boston. So invested. And then I got mad and I stopped watching hockey.
That's a good reason. I can recall.
It's very time consuming.
Well, it can
be a
be.
diehard fan.
It can be. I recall playing in Brockville, Ontario.
I've been there.
With you on the Electric Weekend tour.
Mm-hmm.
And it was getting towards the end of the night, and we were going up. I don't know if it was like a last set or an encore or something, but we sent you up with just your acoustic guitar. And on the screen around you is Vancouver being eliminated from the playoffs that year.
Yeah.
And it was just the saddest thing that ever happened in Ontario.
But I'm a professional, and I think I kept it together pretty well.
If nothing else, you channeled that emotion into the performance.
I just checked out. I was calling that performance in 100%.
That's being a professional.
Yeah.
Right? It's
exactly.
the pro who can deliver under those circumstances.
You can't see the tears underneath
your makeup that night.
Yeah.
We were doing full masks and everything in those days. It was really, the Electric Weekend was a
party.
It was a wild band.
It was a good weekend.
A wild band. So I have that memory of you and your poor sports records.
I know. I'm a sports fan.
How did you become a San Francisco fan?
I've had ties to the Bay Area for a long time, and there was one year, and I decided, because, okay, I lived in Vancouver, and I would like go to games, and I was a huge hockey fan. I used to play hockey. And then I realized that it was taking up so much of my life. And my brother is a huge football guy. And I never really watched football. But there was one year, and it was, I think, the year after I came back to London from Vancouver. And it just became a Sunday tradition. And I quite enjoyed that. And we would have snacks, and I'd watch the game with my cousins, who I have a lot of like male cousins around the same age. And so they all kind of feel like my brothers. So we watched one season, and I got really into like the Sunday tradition. And I decided I needed to pick a team. And I chose my team based on the games. I think it was a wild card weekend maybe or something. And it was the year that Kaepernick was playing for the 49ers and Harbaugh was coaching. And I just loved the underdog storyline. I loved that he came up from the second, like from the bench, and he just killed it. And he had all these tattoos, and he would kiss his arm. And I just fell hard, Colin. And yeah. So I was like, I'm a 49ers fan now. And then I got my jersey, and they went to the Super Bowl that year. And you know what? They didn't win.
They didn't win.
Was it against the Chiefs, I think, too?
In 2020, yeah.
Yeah. No, even before that. So Kaepernick would have been.
No, he was long before that. You're right.
Yeah.
Was it the Chiefs?
I don't know. Maybe I blocked it out.
Who would San Francisco have played?
I gotta look it up now.
We have to know. We must know.
Yeah, so I don't know. I like the game once you kind of start to get it more.
I can't. I've talked about this on the podcast. My audience doesn't need to hear it again, but I can't get into the NFL regular season because I don't have a team.
Oh, well, there's an opening for 49ers fans.
Yeah.
Always. Welcome in.
I can't emotionally attach. For whatever reason, I've just never been able to adopt a football team. But I watched the playoffs, and I watched them from moment one until the end. And so I was pulling for San Francisco last night. I really was. Because I liked the Brock Purdy story.
Yeah, same.
Right? Mr. Irrelevant. There he is, right? I mean, amazing, right? Fabulous story. And so it would have been very nice, very touching for Mr. Irrelevant to not just win a Super Bowl, but quarterback the team that won the Super Bowl.
It would have been a great storyline.
It's crushing, though, isn't it?
But
sports. Well, you can never bet against Patrick Mahomes when it really counts, right?
I know.
You really can't.
It was hard. That was a hard game to watch.
It's tough. And the next day...
It was the Harbaugh Bowl. Sorry. Going back, Kaepernick, Harbaugh Bowl. It was the Ravens. The two brothers were coaching against each other. It was awesome.
Right.
34-31.
Close game.
2013.
Close game. So in the 80s, I was a sort of half-assed Cincinnati person briefly. And it was because I'd watched them in the Super Bowl twice, and they lost at San Francisco both times. So I think you just picked the wrong era.
I did?
Maybe, because the Joe Montana 49ers were unstoppable.
I was born too late.
You're a woman out of time.
I'm not in the right time. I'm not.
I once interviewed Jill Barber, and I asked her, do you feel like you were born in the wrong era? Because she played such like 60s, 50s, 40s inspired music.
Oh, yeah.
Do you feel like you were born in the wrong era? She's like, yeah. So I think you're like Jill Barber in that sense.
Probably.
You were born in the wrong era. I've been able to watch my team win the Stanley Cup twice.
Who's your hockey team again?
Oh, Carly. I'm a Canadiens fan.
Oh, yeah, Habs.
So I watched them win it in 86 and 93, and they have won it many times in my life, but I was not old enough to understand what was happening in the 70s. So I got to see them win it twice.
That feels good.
It's incredible. And if we had known in 93 what we know now, which was nobody would ever win it again from this country, we really would have savored that. And were you around for the Jays?
You never know. You have to live in the moment.
Were you around for the Jays winning the World Series?
Yeah. I was watching in Ottawa when I was a kid, and my face was painted blue. It was.
So you have seen your team win.
And there was a soundtrack that came out. And they had written all these songs about the team that year.
Okay, Blue Jays.
Yeah.
Let's
play ball.
Right?
So good.
Is it a high ball? Is it a seagull coming in from the lake just to catch the game? They played that enough times
Why
that
don't
we
they do that anymore?
I don't know.
Oh, maybe I should write one.
Bam.
For the 49ers? It's too late.
Well, it's not too late because there's always next year, right?
I'm going to go back and write a song about the game when I get back.
Well, I feel like what I was going to suggest to you that if you needed a career boost is that you should obviously start dating a football player.
Yeah, that's true. Or a pop star?
That seems to be, well, one or the other. I mean, your game is being a pop star-ish. You're not pop necessarily, but if you want to be a music star, obviously the attention is in dating. I don't know if Brock Purdy has anybody or not.
I don't know. I think I would be a cougar if I dated Brock Purdy.
That would just add to the story.
It would be a good story.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So, okay, in lieu of doing that.
I would get tickets to all the games.
Dude, luxury box.
It would be amazing.
You would be the Taylor Swift of San Francisco.
Maybe they could ask me to play the halftime show.
Maybe they could.
I'd do a good halftime show.
I bet you would.
Nothing tops Lady Gaga catching the football, though, at the end of hers. That was my favorite halftime show of all time.
Was it really? Yeah.
And I didn't really get to watch yesterday's halftime show because I decided I was either going to stay in and just watch with my brother, or I was going to this party at the scientist place.
Did he have a Super Bowl party?
He had a Super Bowl party.
Wow, I didn't get invited. Thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Chris.
Guess you're never coming on my show.
But yeah, I almost brought him today.
Did you really?
But he was hungover.
Oh, dear.
Well, they had a party, and I was like, there's going to be great snacks. The snack game has got to be good for Super Bowl, I feel.
I agree.
And a bunch of folks that I didn't know. But here's the thing, though. I got there, and I was the only one wearing a jersey. I was the only real fan of one of the teams. And all these dudes were betting. They were cheering for like their bets that they made.
Right.
And so I went to the basement and watched alone for a bit.
Yeah, you did.
But then they all followed me down there. And it was one of those, I was a little torn because I didn't really get to like hear a lot of the game, but it was a lot of fun. But yeah, it was one of those, you know.
I've heard this before from true fans. Don't like to go to Super Bowl parties for that reason.
You gotta be, it has to be 10 people or less. It has to be a listening party.
A listening room,
I mean, I'm glad I went. It was a lot of fun.
Of course. But as a fan, a lot of fans get driven crazy because all of a sudden this room is full of people who aren't even football fans.
I was going a little crazy.
Right?
I can't lie.
Not even football fans, just
and
there
the
for the
one
party.
girl who really liked the Chiefs didn't even watch half the game. And then she was rubbing it in my face. And I was like, listen, girl, no. And then I got asked at least 5 times, so are you really a fan or are you just like going for the 49ers? And I'm wearing a toque, a 49ers toque, a full-on Kittle jersey. And I'm like, what do you think? I'm screaming at the TV.
No, you're such a poser. I mean, obviously.
I'm not a bandwagon. I did like Detroit though too, and that game was hard. I love Detroit's story this year and their team.
Of course, because they've been so bad for so long.
I know. Now they're good.
There's a lot of Detroit fans around here.
Yes.
Right?
I was red in a sea of blue.
I bet you were.
There's another song.
Red in a sea of blue. I think there's a whole thing here.
Mm-hmm.
Like your next record should just be sports
Also, that
themed.
sounds maybe like it could be a Shark Attack song.
Well, look. This is Carly Thomas, everybody.
I do love writing songs about the ocean, as you know.
You have nautical themes.
And I don't have a Shark Attack song.
Not yet. Sharknado.
It's good. I'm getting more inspired. I'm writing right now, so I'm taking it all in.
Yeah. I mean, what have you been up to? We last spoke on this podcast about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it was a little while ago. I was riding high at that time.
At the time you were, I think, headed for Nashville.
Now I'm super low. My team just lost.
I know. This is this was supposed to be a celebratory morning.
I know. I was going to
event.
bring mimosas.
We're going to have mimosas.
And now I'm drinking tea. Like an idiot.
With a toque on.
It says coffee on it.
It says coffee on it.
It's fine.
That was a gift to me.
I love it. It's amazing.
Yeah, I know. Anything else you want to trash while you're here? That was a gift from an office I worked at.
Oh, the office gave you a gift?
My
Like the show?
Yeah, my enduring contribution to that office was getting the coffee program in shape.
Oh.
And so they left me with coffee is always a good idea written on a mug, and that was it.
Well, it's a good thing I'm drinking tea out of that mug right now.
That's okay.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Yeah, I was going to bring mimosas. I was going to cheers, and it was going to be amazing. It's still amazing. It was a good game. I enjoyed the game. People were saying it was a boring game, but it wasn't really. It was good. No.
If
it was close.
If your team is in
defense wins championships, except not for the 49ers yesterday.
Well, it's overtime, and like missing that extra point. Like there's
I know
in a football game.
I was like, had they not? Oh,
there's so many moments.
That's why I like football. It's these little what if sliding doors moments.
It all turns on a penalty or a fumble or where they spot the ball or a missed extra point. How often does that happen? Or
Taylor Swift putting on a red jacket finally and then they win. Like, I think she has a lot of power.
Well, she can wield that power for good. U.S. election. That can be great. But the Taylor thing, I haven't spoken publicly about the Taylor thing.
You should do it now.
I'm not going to do it now because I'll get accused of being some sort of toxic male.
Oh, yeah.
This is what happens. Like,
but you are.
I know, but I don't want to be accused of that.
Okay.
Right? If people can understand that behind the scenes.
Yeah. You don't want the Facebook comments.
I don't need the public. Like my public image is squeaky clean.
Yeah.
And so for me to come out and say I was annoyed by all of the Taylor Swift hysteria makes me a toxic male.
Yeah.
Right. But
I'm more annoyed by Travis Kelce being he's such a bro. Like he's screaming. I don't know. I mean, I like the Chiefs too. Like I enjoy watching them. Like they're a great organization, but he was like yelling at the coach. Did you see that part?
He knocked him over. Yeah.
Dude. And his whole you got to fight for your right to party.
It's not.
Anyway, I don't want to.
Would you have expected Taylor Swift to fall for such a man? I don't know.
I don't know Taylor like I used to.
I mean, I know her fairly well. Like I talk to her still.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, am I going to get in trouble for this? I don't not like Taylor Swift, but I have never really been a fan of hers. So I don't know. I'm just I think it's fun. I think it's fun that she has created this huge hype around football and the Chiefs. And I think it's very entertaining, but
okay.
I don't know.
I think she's a very good writer of hooks. If she writes all those songs, I don't know if she does.
I wrote all those songs, actually.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh.
Terrible, Taylor.
That's how you afforded
I didn't.
a San Francisco jersey.
That's actually was a gift. I can't afford anything.
Yeah. I mean, that's how you know somebody's a fan. Like they didn't need to ask you. You've got the jersey on, and it's purely an economics thing. They're expensive. So. Yeah.
I like to make nicknames for all the players too.
Oh, well, what do you got?
Like Kittle Cat. He's my little Kittle Cat. And I had other ones. I forget now.
Man. Why did you choose? Oh, the Kittle jersey was a gift, so you didn't choose Kittle?
I love Kittle, but it was a gift because my friend knew that I loved Kittle. I don't know. It's hard though. And then when players get traded and stuff, it's hard because I get really attached to the characters, like the characters in the movie. But yeah, there was some good. My friends in San Francisco they sent me a picture of them watching, and they were all wearing shirts that said "Talk Purdy to me."
Oh, that's good.
I thought that was a good.
That's
one.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, sidetracked. What have I been up to?
Yeah, let's
spent a lot of time last year in Nashville, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Such a cool. I wanted to just spend a chunk of time there to explore and write and just kind of network and meet folks down there, which was successful. And now I'm here for a bit because I did the Matt Good tour, which kind of broke up the end of my time in Nashville, and it got canceled and then back, and it was just a crazy time. And now I'm just full on demoing and writing and taking a bit of a performing break, I guess. Sort of intentionally, sort of just because, I had to hit pause for a second for my mental health. But yeah, I'm in Ontario for a little while. I'm going to probably have some shows in this more like April, May over the summer and put out a couple songs before that. Get back in the studio, after I mourn my Super Bowl loss.
That's going to take a minute.
It's okay, though. The best songs come from heartache.
That's what I've heard.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you kind of specialize in that world.
do.
So, I mean, you can really alchemize that stuff.
So I do it to myself.
On purpose, just for the material. I mean, that's an artist.
Yeah.
How is the writing? Did you have to take a break from the writing? Because I know that your last album, Behind the Ficus, was pretty ambitious. And I think there was a lot probably that went into not just the songwriting, but actually recording those songs. Did you need a break from the writing, or was the pump primed when you were done?
It was a journey. I mean, I think I did take a bit of a pause after all that. Like, I put a lot of heart and soul into that from, the writing and the production and it was during the pandemic and just like the time that it took and the promotion and the getting it out there and having it very independently marketed was a lot of work, which was awesome. But yeah, I guess maybe after that I sort of slowed down. But after that I went to Nashville and I think part of that was just trying to be a sponge and soak up all the new. I feel like in every song and the life of the song or the record, once you put it out to the world, it's almost an emotional letting go of it as well.
Right.
So I guess, after that I was still inspired and still writing, but it was sort of like a little break. And then I was like playing quite a bit. I was touring a lot. So yeah, what was the question?
I just wondered if you needed to recharge your batteries in terms of writing.
I think so.
Because as I've said, that's an ambitious record, and there's a lot of subtlety, particularly in the recordings.
Yeah. Sounds
that are in them and keyboard parts and arrangements. And I know that it was a long process.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know how that affects your songwriting.
Yeah, I guess I didn't think of it consciously, but I feel like after that, there was that recharge period. I think I needed it. I feel like I'm still just kind of coming out of that too.
Do you feel like you're still just coming out of the pandemic? Do you feel like there's a hangover there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird. I don't feel that I have really gotten my momentum back from that. And it's so easy to just walk in and say, oh, everything's back to normal now and everything's great and we're out playing again. And it's true, I guess, but it's weird because momentum is, you gotta keep doing that. I remember just before the pandemic, I was on a really good roll. I was playing Juno Fest and gigging quite a lot and feeling really excited about the momentum that was happening. And the pandemic feels like it was almost this chunk of just different life that happened. And yeah, I feel like there's a definite still hangover from that. What about you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, my musical life has never come back since the pandemic. It really hasn't. I've talked on the show before that I'm playing a quarter of the shows that I used to play. And it's just a function of the scene being different now. And venues being gone and artists having, moved on to other places. And it's like there's not new artists coming along behind. Like there's not new people, at least around here, there doesn't seem to be new people emerging on the scene who are looking for players. And so if you're a side guy like me, and it could be that I'm aging out of the bracket for those people, like the new people are young, they probably don't want me or even know I exist. And so for me, it's been this really weird thing of, well, okay, now what? And that's a direct link to the pandemic, which kind of just blew everything apart, right? And so you talk about not having been able to really gather that momentum again. I think you're way further along than a lot of people, because I think some people just never came back at all. Yeah,
true. Everything, it does feel so much has changed. And also just I was pretty close to, the London scene for a while, and then things kind of shifted a whole lot. And a lot of it wasn't necessarily intentional, because it kind of felt like, okay, nothing matters. Let's just go with whatever is happening.
Sure.
But yeah, I can't quite put my finger on it's just, there's a lot that feels a lot different now.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I was hoping that yesterday's Super Bowl, being a repeat of the 2020 Super Bowl, would represent like a reset.
Yeah.
Like we're turning back the clock to where we were before. Kansas City versus
I like
San
that
Francisco.
You were talking about,
And we'll
maybe
pretend it never happened. Yeah, like maybe.
It's pretty fresh off of that. I would love to believe that, for sure.
Me too.
That didn't sound very confident.
No, and I feel that.
I would love to believe that.
So you did the Matt Good tour, which is a really interesting opportunity for you. So the people, I don't know if we had talked about that or if it had happened. It maybe hadn't happened yet.
I don't think it had happened yet. I think I had just got the call close to when we did the podcast last.
Right. And so this is a cross-country tour, acoustically opening for Matt Good, who is still a draw, as you found out, in this country.
Yeah, I played some amazing rooms, and it was quite an experience, I will say.
How affirming was that for you?
That beautiful half an hour of being able to share songs to mostly theater crowds was beautifully affirming. And I wish that there was a lot that on the going into it, and there's a lot of sort of back and forth stress. And I wish I just had allowed myself to just like all that go and just enjoy it more.
Yeah.
Because it was a pretty great opportunity to play in front of new audiences and connect. And it was wonderful in that sense, and got some great feedback and some new doors opened. It was a reminder of like, it's weird because you can put a lot into, I put a lot of weight on it, almost like pressure for myself. Because I was like, oh my God, okay, I've got to, and at the end of the day, it was like, it was just another tour, and it was great. And that's another thing too. Like that was a busy tour. I feel like after that, I needed to recharge batteries.
I can see that
for sure.
Yeah.
It was great. I mean, just the moments and I haven't played in that many in order, just filled, sold out places, and got a chance to really tell stories and show who I was. And I think it was really successful.
It was, it just feels to me like a look in at what's possible.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because a lot of us, especially in the indie world, we sort of fight our way around the indie world. And once in a while we get a festival where there's an audience. And how cool is that? And it's a real novelty when it happens. And then, you sort of go back to grinding away to mostly empty clubs in my case. And to get this tour where all of a sudden you're playing like rooms, whatever it was, 500 seaters, 1,000 seaters, and they're full, and it's every night, and it's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
People do this.
Yeah, it was pretty sweet.
Wow.
It's all possible. It's all out there.
It is, and you have a foot on the carpet, you're in the periphery, and you can see that, and it's like, and you were there. Like, that opportunity came to you, which I just find really exciting, because I know that previous to that, you've put 20 years in, right?
Yeah.
And to have that finally arrive for you, and to have your song on Sirius that did really, really well, you had these affirmations just kind of come in. As a person who looks for signs and stuff, I kind of watch this and say, well, there's an encouragement happening there for you, to not quit, keep going.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's funny because for me, I battle so much with self-doubt and all those things that artists, and I always am, if I'm performing or writing or anything, it's always from a really raw, pure emotional place. And it was really cool I have to remind myself of these things sometimes. And I have a lot of friends who are like, yeah, but don't you remember like this happened and you did that? And because I had this conversation with a friend in Nashville actually, and it's kind of weird to juggle the two different, not versions, but almost two different lives that you have. Like there's that I'm on stage and I'm connecting and I'm lit up, and I love feeling that I'm translating and being able to, work a crowd and be in that zone. It's like we were like it's like touching the electric. It's like that electric, and I want to just live that all the time. I'm like, oh, this is so in the down times and in the pauses and in the writing moments, I have to teleport myself to those places and remind myself, no, it's okay. Like that can't be all of it, but it is, like, it will keep happening again.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
No, I can see that too. You can get into this mindset like, that's it happened and it'll never come back.
Well, yeah. And it's like, oh, it's the high. It's the ultimate high.
Right.
And then, when I'm here and I'm like, oh, I don't have any shows coming up. I don't have that right now. Doesn't mean that I won't. I'm just in the writing phase right now. And it's hard when you don't get that immediate validation or reward,
Absolutely, yeah. Of course.
I think we talked about this last time too.
It's like it's really prominent. It's like there's a nuts kind of high about that experience.
Yeah.
If you're like me, it's not just the experience itself, but it's being aware that you're actually having this experience, because it seems so unlikely, in my case, to be on the stage like that. And it's just like, oh, wow, this is really great.
Yeah.
But I can remember when I've gone on tours before, the first time I went to Europe, people said to me, oh, this is a once in a lifetime opportunity. That's great. And I was in a weird way offended by that. It's like, no, I don't want this to be once in a lifetime. I want this to be all the time.
Right. Yeah.
I'm still kind of holding on to that. But I think you can't do that all the time either. You'll burn yourself right out. So it's like, the question becomes, how much time do you want to be in that energy? How much time do you want to be on the road? How much time can you handle it?
Yeah.
Right? From a purely energy perspective, because it can't be all the time. But there's a balance that really works between being out and playing and then being away from that and writing, and being able to do both while keeping your head together.
Yeah.
That's a real challenge.
I'm still
I think.
trying to figure that out.
Well, yeah, it's a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
Because that spotlight is, and that being in that energy, especially if you've worked.
I mean, that's why
you do it,
this, right?
And you've spent
it's that
so
connection.
long. And when you've finally got a taste of it,
yeah,
you don't want to let that go.
It's that sync after something like that ends.
Yeah.
Like even though, I mean, there was a lot of parts of that tour that were super challenging in all the ways, but
yeah,
at the end of it, I was sad. I was like, is this over now? Like, not in the sense like, oh, is it all over? It's just, like you get that sort of heartachy feeling.
Of course. Yeah.
But it's like balance. But I can easily spin into especially if I'm going through a time right now. I'm getting better at it because I'm trying to be more mindful of it. But in the process of, like, I'm just demoing right now and writing and getting ready, and I can't help but think so far ahead that it just doesn't serve me, because I'm thinking, oh, well, where am I going to play this? And like, how am I going to, and I'm just like, just be here in the moment. I like what you were talking about in one of your last episodes when you were saying, it was the Purdy analogy.
Mm-hmm.
It was the behind the scenes work is so important, like, just because then you get the opportunity to go and do the thing. But if you spend time during those downtimes, and I can be so guilty of this, of just being like, oh, like, what's it all about? Like, why am I doing this? Like, it feels like a low. But if you just remind yourself, it's all going to be in this cycle. Like, it's the record cycle, it's the touring cycle, to say, okay, you're just in this phase right now, and then you're going to move back to that phase and just do everything you can to be ready and prepared for that next time, rather than kind of like sinking into all the thoughts and that just don't get you anywhere. Do you know? I don't know if I'm explaining that right.
I 100% get what you're saying, but it requires this really fragile faith that it will come back around.
Yeah.
Which it will.
Definitely.
100% for
and
you,
just
it will.
that fragile, like, yes, it will come back around, but also everything is temporary. Be here, be present.
Right.
You can't bank on anything really, but being right here, right now, in this moment,
Right.
on this couch,
Right.
in your podcast studio,
Right.
with my still 49ers shirt on.
Was that from yesterday?
And you know what? The season will start again.
It will. You could just leave that on for the rest of the summer.
Probably.
You'll be ready to go. That's
Yeah.
just being ready for September. Why do you think there's so much self-doubt amongst artists?
Why?
Because it's not just you.
Because I think artists live in vulnerability constantly, and artists analyze everything because that's sort of, I mean, especially writers. I don't know. There's just, so that's like this fine line between, you're kind of always exposed a little bit. So I think that can come with questioning, and we question everything, right? So of course we would question, am I good enough? Is this okay? Like, is this important? Is this something worth sharing? Is this, who am I to say, to be doing this, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't know, for me, it's just, I feel so, especially when I'm digging into songs and stuff. There's like a quote from a Joni Mitchell interview that I love. It's like, I was just salt and skin, you know, like just
Whoa.
bare. And you have to, I think those are the best, those artists are produce the best work. And because it's all about, you know, looking and seeing that we're human, you know, and going through a human experience. And the job is to tell the story. But it always feels everything feels like a little raw, you know?
And so how have you learned to deal with that? Or have you? That's a fair question.
It's a good question. I'm still learning how to deal with it. I'm still going through the motions and trying to figure it out, really.
Is it a thing that you ever actually get over, I wonder? Or is it really vital to your work in a weird way?
I don't know.
I don't know
I
either.
hope not. It's
don't know.
hard to be living in that.
It is.
It's not all the time, I guess, but
No.
I think it's more common for people who, especially because, you know, it's for independent artists, it's a very strange and risky and vulnerable life to live, and it's different, and it's funny because I think you really need to, with your whole heart, believe in yourself and believe in what you're doing, but at the same time you're kind of questioning everything. And sometimes that can, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like sometimes I'm just like a little, you know, stone away from shattering, like in the way that I don't know. Cause my favorite songs, my favorite artists really put their heart and soul out there.
Right.
Not like writing pop songs, you know. The sad songs say so much. I don't know. I think the answer is 42.
Obviously.
Not sure.
Obviously.
I don't know. It's a whole. I don't know. Life is just work in progress. I think it's beautiful.
Well, I mean, people who are as vulnerable as you are in your writing, something that I can't do, by the way, as a songwriter, such as I am, or as any sort of an artist. Like, I have a great deal of trouble going there. I'm not great at articulating some of this stuff, but in your case, what you're throwing out there is very vulnerable. And so I can understand why there might be some hesitation. And then you sort of feel like, this is me on a plate. And if people reject it, good Lord.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So you have to cultivate this having a thick skin and still being really vulnerable at the same time, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a hard sort of dual life to kind of live. But you manage it, you navigate it. We had some questions. I threw it open to the world on short notice, albeit. Throw us questions if you have them. And we had a couple of questions about your songwriting process.
Yeah.
One of which came from Barbara McCready.
Barbara McCready.
Say hello to Barbara, everybody.
Hi, Aunt Barb.
She asked a couple of interesting things. What inspires you to write a song? You know, that's one that a lot of songwriters get.
Mm-hmm.
What does? What does?
What does? I feel like I often get that question of the songwriting process, and I never know how to answer it because it comes differently so many times. And what inspires me, I think, is the more I think about it, it's just honesty and being able to, because when I've like way back when I was a kid, when I started writing and, writing songs and writing poetry, it was an expression, it's self-expression, and being able to have that outlet. And whether it's a love song or a song about life and hope or whatever it's about, if it's just like a small idea, it's just about being able to honestly tell a story so that you can encourage others to tell the truth and be honest, and let's all meet somewhere and say like, hey, like you're not alone, There
were other questions about,
it's the whole like, does the melody come first or the words?
This sort of thing. I mean,
sometimes I just get a line in my head that is attached to a little melody and I'm like, oh, I like that. And it's just repeating. And I walk through the days constantly, like I'm sort of here, but I'm also, there's a song happening over here to the right in my brain. I'm like, oh yeah. And it's sort of a constant wheel that's turning. And sometimes it's just doesn't really evolve into anything, but sometimes, it's usually like a line in my head or an experience that I've gone through, or, in a lot of cases, a heartache that's happening that I can't quite figure out. So in figuring that out is the writing of the song. So it's a healing thing too.
It's like a method.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like figuring out how I feel about something too.
Do you feel as though you are a conduit for these songs? You know what I mean? Do they come through you? Is that something you've thought about?
It's mostly the aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
42.
The signs from the UFOs.
That dude from Blink-182 are getting all of your music from
they're us just really far into the future. And they're like, listen, this is going to be a good one.
Right.
You should hang on to that.
You should date Travis Kelce. No, you should
never.
No,
don't ever do that.
It's working for the NFL.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, sometimes it is funny because I have songs where I'm like, did I hear that somewhere or did I write that just now? It's weird.
I've had that experience.
It's a weird feeling.
Yeah. I've only written like 7 songs in my life, but
what's your favorite out of the 7 songs? Sing it now.
There's a reason why everybody else sings the songs I write. There's a song that I wrote for Hearts, which we never got around to recording, called If You Love Me Still, which is like it's a blues song, but it's slow and really heavy. And I brought that into the band. And then, as with everything else, the band made it what it could be, as opposed to what I brought in, right? So, I mean, that was my song, but...
Yeah, but that's collaboration.
Absolutely,
too, right?
Yeah. So,
that's
100%.
Kind of beautiful.
And so, I mean, we can get Jen in here to sing it, and it'll sound great. But me singing it, not so much. That was probably the best one.
But you didn't record it?
No, it came in towards the end of my tenure in the band, so I don't even think they're playing it anymore because it was, it was my song. So that one springs to mind. And then I wrote other more kind of folky ones when I was a bit younger. And there were little nuggets. I'm not a songwriter. I'm not inclined that way, really. I wish I was better at it. Which is a practice thing, but I've had those moments too, though, where I've got something running through my head and I'm like, oh, that's a great song I'm writing. And then I go, oh, no, wait a minute. That's somebody else's song. That's a song I'm remembering.
Yeah. But sometimes maybe it's not, I have moments where I freak out. I'm writing a song right now. And I just realized the other day, I'm like, oh my God, I think this is the same chord progression as this like Katie Pruitt song that I've been listening to. Yeah. And then I was like, but it's just different enough. But now that I know that, I feel really weird to continue writing it.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Do you have to change a chord or something?
Kinda, or just be, I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a fraud or something.
We were going to talk about what you're listening to these days. We have other listener questions, but we can come back to it. Katie Pruitt, I think you mentioned on the last podcast.
Yeah, it was from the whole, I'm a big Brandi Carlile fan and like a fan of her music, but also her career and her as a person and what she stands for and all that stuff. And she's been bringing forward a ton of underrepresented artists to all of what she's doing, which is awesome. So I started listening to a lot of music through just who she had open for her and stuff like that. I don't know. I've been lately I've been trying out all the recommendation stuff playlists on Spotify and finding little gems.
Yeah.
I have a playlist that I have with a friend of mine, and we keep adding different tunes to it. James Vincent McMorrow, is that how? Some of his songs have been really cool lately. Yeah, but I'm looking for new stuff too. I need a new playlist. Although maybe not, because then I don't want all my songs to unintentionally maybe sound like a different song.
Yeah. When I was a fiction writer, I was so impressionable. So I'd be reading somebody I liked, and then all of a sudden I'm writing that person's book.
Yeah, it's weird, but it's subconscious too, right?
Yeah, it is.
I mean, yeah, obviously, like you wouldn't be like, I want to write his book.
Well, I mean, some people do that.
Yeah.
That happens, but it's like, no, it's just like if there's somebody who has like a really strong voice as a writer, suddenly I would be aping it, you know?
I do that with accents.
Do you?
With people's accents. I just want to talk like everyone around me.
I can remember being in the airport in Savannah, Georgia with my mother.
There's been a murder in Savannah.
And some of the folks down there have a pretty heavy-duty Southern twang, at least to our ears. And my mom would repeat everything somebody said. If somebody walked by having a conversation and they said something in a Southern drawl.
Oh, yeah.
My mom would repeat it because she thought it was delightful. So she's just walking around spouting out loud, really bad Southern drawl.
God,
and I'm
awesome.
like, you're going to get us killed, Ma.
I've started to...
Please stop that.
I've started to say y'all quite a bit from spending
Nashville.
Almost a year in Nashville.
Of course.
Hey, y'all.
Yeah.
It's perfect, though. It's y'all. It's non-gendered. Like, it's folks. Yeah.
True, yeah.
I used to say folks a lot at shows. Now I'm like, thanks, y'all.
Thanks, y'all.
It's good. I like it.
Back on the bus, y'all. That's an Indigo Girls live record. Speaking of Brandi Carlile.
I'm a little mad at her, though, because I think I'm just jealous, though. I don't know. I'm so inspired by seeing it sort of also feels like the underdog story that we both love. And seeing that, like watching, especially last Grammys, I think it was, when she played The Joke.
Right.
And all of a sudden all these, music royalties that were like, who the fuck is Brandi Carlile? Amazing. And I'm like, oh, I just love her story. And I'm like, why'd you steal my life? No, but it's like that fine line between inspiration and just being kind of a little jealous. I'm like, oh. But
yeah, I straddle that line
I think
too.
she had a much different musical life than I've had. Like, I didn't really start seriously considering that I could seriously be an artist until probably like 10 years ago.
Really? Even though you had records out by then?
Yeah, because my first one was extra time in the studio that my mom was in recording her album. And she went to Nashville to write a lot. And I mean, she was like, well, we have this day. Do you want to do a demo? And I had to work.
Demo.
Yeah, I was 18. And I was like, sure. And then it turned into Distance somehow. I don't really remember how.
It's really great.
I listened to that record though, and I'm like, oh my God. I feel like it's baby Carly's
It was
heart.
baby Carly. You were 18.
Some of the lyrics, so I'm like,
Maybe, but
it was awesome. But I'm just saying that even then I was like, it was the self-doubt thing. I was like, yeah, like, and then I was exploring where I was supposed to be, and I'm still doing that. I'm still looking for home, where do I belong? I grew up moving around everywhere.
We have a question about that too, but we'll get to it in a minute.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Anyway, just, there's these weird moments where you're like, because it's very wavy what we do, unless you sign a big deal.
Even that's wavy.
Yeah, I guess. Right? Yeah,
like
totally.
Lots of people sign a big deal and they get 3 years of riding high, and then the crash is heavy when that goes away.
Yeah.
Right?
I just feel I'm still on that. I mean, I don't really believe there's ever any one big break. It's a series of things that will happen for you, and then all of a sudden you're going to look back and say, oh, this is great. Like I'm in this rhythm and I'm doing this. I feel like I'm still at my tipping point. And then I've been doing it for so long now. I'm like, well, I guess I don't know what else to do. I guess I gotta keep going.
Right. Yeah.
But it does feel, it's weird because what other career are you like, I just haven't quite made it yet. Whatever your version of that is.
Sure.
That you're like, I guess, I gotta keep going. Like, you know what I mean?
I do know. Boy, do I know.
You either do something or you don't do something. But this is such a industry of, what level you're at or how many people you're reaching, how many numbers of people are listening. But the universe brings you all these amazing signs when, I'm not going to get into like too much detail, but the last 6 months have been kind of just crazy and weird for me and going through some stuff. And it's often at the exact moment you need it. I'll get a message from someone like a fan or a friend and It's beautifully spoken and just saying how much they love this song and I'm like, oh, thank you. Like it's those signs from the universe. And I'm like, yeah, okay.
This is why I tell people.
You need those things. Like you need that. You need to touch the electric every once in a while.
And tell people when you like what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like I say this to people all the time.
It goes such a long way.
If there's a podcast you like, for example, reach out to that podcaster and say so. I mean, it's a huge, and I do this for people all the time, or artists or whatever. And it's like, people don't realize the silence and the vacuum that a lot of creators live in. They think that they're engaging with the world all the time and getting this feedback all the time, but in a lot of cases they
don't know who's listening. You don't,
if anybody,
have,
right. But Brandi Carlile's really interesting because she's amazing talent-wise. She's off the charts, but it's like she's another one of these artists who, at least as far as I can tell, did not have a huge radio presence, at least where I was listening, and has somehow developed this. She's been found and noticed somehow along the way.
Yeah, she's been working for a lot of years.
Oh yeah, of course. And she's great. Let's not overlook the part where she's great.
Of course.
But I encounter a lot of these bands all the time now. So last time we talked, it was The War on Drugs. Now it's Future Islands. I don't know if you listen to Future Islands.
I haven't listened much, but I know them.
Same deal though. They're a huge band, and there's no radio except for like indie alt stations. There's one here and there, but it's like, how have they been found by people? I was tipped off by Steve Plimmer from the Pears. Shout out to Steve. But it's just interesting. There's another route apart from the radio or a viral video or whatever. It's like these acts find it somehow.
Well, I think there's a story that's told that is so not true. And I think a lot of, if you're not an artist, if you're not doing this for a living, you see someone, like they got discovered. Look at, and it could just happen like that. But successful artists with long careers know exactly what they're doing. Like Brandi Carlile, it's not like, she just got discovered. Like she knows exactly what she wants to do. She knows she's surrounded herself with people to make it happen. She has a total game plan. She's driving that ship.
Right.
And, you often see that, but you don't know that this artist has had a 15-year career, but now they've hit some mainstream thing or a great break or whatever it is. But it's like, no, they've been doing this forever. That's the story. That's the story people live. It's the underdog story.
The only person who was ever actually discovered was Pamela Anderson.
Really?
She was picked out of the crowd at a BC Lions game.
Is this true?
This is a true story, yeah. Pamela Anderson was nobody from nowhere, and I think the camera panned across and somebody saw her. And the rest is a very lurid and compelling history. So
interesting.
But everybody else who reaches a level, apart from those ones who think the way you make it in music is to be on American Idol, which, okay. The rest have probably been grinding away for years and years and years and years before that happens. And that happens way more than the other way around, I think.
Yeah. And there's so many different roads to take, too.
Of course, yeah.
Different versions of success.
Right. Yeah. You reach a point where you have to figure out what that is for you.
Probably for me, it's the halftime show at the Super Bowl.
Well, I think it's good to have modest goals.
I want Lady Gaga to throw me a football.
Yeah. How about I throw Lady Gaga?
Okay. Yes, I like it.
5'2".
We're going to workshop this.
I think we're
going to be as prepared as we possibly can so that when they pick up that phone to call us, we're like, funny.
Do we have
We
an
actually
idea?
have a whole show mapped out for you.
We've already spoken to Gaga.
It's going to be great and you're going to love it.
You're going to love it.
You're going to love it.
Yeah. And maybe by then I'll be dating an NFL player.
Probably.
You know, like whatever it takes to get.
I'll be in the NFL.
You will be in the NFL as a
plot twist.
I don't know what position you would play.
Well, I don't know.
Do you want to jump on people or get jumped on?
Can I do both?
We don't play Iron Man football anymore.
I just want to be the kicker.
Yeah, okay.
Because,
no pressure.
No pressure. I just have to do it a few times.
Right? There's nothing to it. Like you don't even sweat. You don't need a shower after.
It's great.
Yeah, you missing the Super Bowl once in a while, but no big deal. No big deal. So there's Brandy. Who else? There was a question about whether you have some sort of songwriting mentor, which I don't think you do.
Mentor.
But you can look at your influences as mentors in a way.
Yeah. I don't know about like a songwriting mentor. I still, even though I was in the co-writing capital of the world, I get really insecure to co-write sometimes, unless I'm a bit removed from it because I'm so internal. I think it would probably be if there's anyone listening that wants to mentor me songwriting, please call me. It might be fun.
1-800.
I mean, I have like mentors for my career and stuff, but
Sure.
and songwriting, I guess it's just, there's a lot of songs I'm like, man, I wish I had written that.
Do you find Nashville as a welcoming sort of place for that sort of thing, or do you have to find your way in, or how does it work there?
I think it's pretty welcoming. I mean, there's a lot of writers with publishing deals that have a certain quota they have to meet, so that everyone's looking for writers there.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I didn't take that. I mean, I wanted to explore that avenue. It's just my time there was a bit more brief than, or I don't know, time just flies,
It does indeed.
But yeah, no, I think it's such a friendly town. It's so cool. You just have to not stand in your own way. Just reach out, just talk to people.
Sure.
Yeah, it was cool because I went to Dee's Country Lounge. What's it called? Dee's. Anyway, and I was just there one night, and I was talking to a couple of people because I wanted to work. There's still a few people there that I want to work with that I'm sort of trying to figure out my way to get back on that. I'll probably go back there a few times this year. But anyway, I went to this show, and it was the show of someone who had like played in all these different acts and I'd seen them play at like one of the festival that Brandy does in Mexico. And I ran into like Katie Pruitt, and I ran into and they were just like hanging out, having a couple drinks, and I like Mary Bragg and stuff, and it was cool. It's a small town feeling almost. Like once you're in it, I really loved it there. I hope I'll probably live there again at some point. It feels small, but it's a big, like there's a lot going on there.
Sure.
But you can, walk into a club and run into a bunch of artists that you might love and have listened to. And
wow,
it's pretty cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Does it feel competitive there? That's the myth that they tell you. I don't know if it's true or not.
I don't know. I didn't feel like it was competitive. I think there's definitely different like groups that are hard to figure out how to get into. I didn't feel competitiveness. I felt it was overwhelming in the amount of things going on, and it's a collaborative place, and everywhere I went, I met folks who were really welcoming and wanting to tell me like the next place to go play and all this stuff.
That's great.
Yeah, it was cool.
That is great.
Yeah, it's cool.
Because
I recommend it.
As a side player, they kind of
maybe that end is, I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, if you're going there as a side player,
because there's so many people doing studio work and session players there,
and touring players too,
Yeah.
right? And so they say to you, well, you could be one of 20 drummers here or one of 20,000 drummers there,
right?
And so they put it into your head right off the bat that you're going to be somewhat disillusioned if you go there, which maybe not. Everything depends
I
on
don't know. That kind of sucks as a way to have, as a mentality to have going into anything,
No,
right?
I don't think you want that, but it's like they kind
Yeah.
of prep you for this level of competition, right? And maybe. But I mean, if you're going there to make contacts and to see how things unfold, that's much different.
Just going there with an open mind and just wanting to learn and connect and maybe have some goals, but also as a learning experience to do something that maybe you haven't done or get out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, I think that's a great thing to do. And I would encourage people to do that. I have encouraged people to do that. Younger drummers than me who have the game and don't have the attachments. And it's like, this is your moment, dude.
Yeah.
Go there. Go to Austin. Go wherever. Just go
why not?
and or LA or whatever. And some of them do. Some of them don't.
Never try, never know.
Right? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, said Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah. And also, even if it's not about that, I mean, go to fill your cup, go to discover something new.
Right.
Go for the unexpected experiences,
Yeah. Because that's what touring is.
Go for the inspiration.
Touring is very much that, the unexpected experiences.
Yeah.
Right?
And just, I mean, even playing that back to any creative, you have to live some experience before you write about it, I think.
That's true. I agree with that.
Yeah. You got to sabotage a lot of relationships to write love songs.
You've got to screw it up really big and,
You really got to fuck some shit up.
You really do. That's part of the curriculum, It's important to do that.
Yeah. Just stir the pot.
Stir it up. Get arrested a few times.
Yeah. Have something to cry about.
Right? Get some new stories.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's okay. I'm going to write a sad fan Super Bowl song and we'll play it at the halftime show.
It'll be a huge viral hit.
You don't know what winning feels like until you know what losing feels like.
Right?
That might not be true. I'm not sure, but
well,
winning feels sweeter when you've suffered the losses.
That's true. And that's what you've got to hold on to as a fan of your team when they lose. It's like it's going to make it this much sweeter when they do win.
Absolutely. I really thought this was the year, though.
It looked like it for a minute. It really did. Judsworth asked a question.
Yes.
Yeah. Are we allowed to say who Judsworth is? I don't know why he's under an assumed name. He asked an interesting one.
Oh, yeah.
Which was, what is your favorite movie based on the score or theme song or music for that movie? What's the best movie soundtrack, I guess? You could use TV as well, I think.
Dirty Dancing.
Really?
I don't know.
Did you have the time of your life?
I actually meant to put more thought into this question because I thought it was a great question. And I was thinking of it. But the first thing that came to my mind was Dirty Dancing. You know what?
Dancing.
That last scene, I could watch that 100 times.
Wow. I've never seen Dirty Dancing.
It's actually a great soundtrack.
You've
never seen it?
I've never seen it.
How are we going to do the lift at the Super Bowl?
Well, the scientist will lift you.
You got bigger arms.
My
Come on.
Hurt. I've reached an age where I don't lift things anymore. I can throw Lady Gaga underhand.
All right.
I don't know if I can do
Well,
the
I
lift.
recommend watching Dirty Dancing. Other movies, though, I don't. Oh man.
I've been watching the Netflix series Loudermilk. Have you watched Loudermilk?
No.
It's really terrific, and it's without giving the whole thing away. The main character is a cat called Sam Loudermilk, and he is a sort of disgraced music critic in Seattle, and so every episode is titled after a famous popular song, and so the soundtrack for Loudermilk is full of all sorts of really great,
cool,
like indie music and like really cool,
I'll have to check that
really
out.
hip stuff. It's a great show, anyways. By the way, it stars the dude from Office Space. What's his name? The dark-haired guy. I really should know that. That guy, and the whole. It's a light.
You make sure you send him a message after this and be like, "I enjoy you on that show." When you remember what his name is, because we need to hear that.
It's just not coming to mind. I can look it up. I can look it up right now for everybody. But it's a light drama, so it's like a little bit. It's funny a lot of the time, and then there's some really dramatic stuff too.
That's like me.
Exactly. That's why I thought of it. And it's all built around Sam Loudermilk is also a recovering alcoholic. So it's really built around this recovery group that he leads, and then his life in and out of that in Seattle.
Oh, right on.
And he's a really acerbic, and he's like kind of a younger Larry David kind of character in a way. And it's really great. But the music for that show is fabulous because it's all about this music critic, Ron Livingston. And Will Sasso's in it too. You know Will Sasso. Oh, come on. She's giving me the...
I'm really bad with the names. I'm better with the faces.
Oh, fair enough. Anyways, great music and a great show. 3 seasons. What's your favorite
I'm
TV?
going to have to watch. Oh, also Modern Love. I started watching some of those episodes. It's a good Netflix. I think Netflix. Or maybe Prime. Anyways, I put a bunch of those. I heard a bunch of songs from that show and put them on some playlists recently. So that's a good one.
Did you watch Daisy Jones and the Six?
I haven't yet.
Oh, Carly.
I know. There's so many shows. No, it's on my list.
It's really good. I think it's really
good. I've heard it's really good.
I wanted to kill everybody on that show.
Oh.
Except the drummer. But it as a view into the music world and the music world of the 70s.
Oh, I definitely got to watch it.
It's really cool. Really, really good show.
I'm trying to read more, but I keep getting show recommendations. So it's been
Sorry about
tough.
that. Sorry about that. And the music, like they actually made a Daisy Jones and the Six record, right? Like they recorded an album.
I've heard people cover songs.
Yeah, the record's great.
Yeah.
It's really good. And if you're a Fleetwood Mac person like I am, then yeah, really, really good. What's your favorite TV theme song? We're going deep here now. Let's get to the real heart of the matter.
Oh, I know.
Do you do?
Yes.
Okay.
There's a show called The Affair.
Okay.
I don't know if it's maybe on Apple TV. I'm not sure. There's a song in the opening that I died. I love it so much. It's
Really?
Fiona Apple.
Okay.
I think it's called Canyon. And I don't even think it was complete. It was written for the show, I believe.
I'll write it down.
And it's so good. I was screaming into the canyon at the moment of my death. And the echo it created. I forget now. Anyway, it's basically, and then it goes in to say, I have only one thing to do, and that's be the wave that I am, and then sink back into the ocean. It's a great song.
That's something you might have written.
I know. Maybe that's why I love it so much.
Maybe.
It's really good.
That's heavy.
It's so good.
Jeez, I was going to say the Starsky and Hutch theme song from season 3.
You know how you usually press skip intro?
Yeah.
I never did it on that show. Not once.
On Starsky and Hutch?
No. The Affair.
Really?
Yeah.
You wanted to hear the song?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It was so good.
Okay.
I'm glad I remembered that.
I have to look that one up now. There's one song that from a TV show that gets me every time. And it was a song it was in 6 Feet Under. Did you watch 6 Feet Under?
Yes. Oh my God. I've watched that whole series like 4 times.
It was the last episode where it was showing all of their deaths. And it was Sia. Whatever song that was. Devastating. My
so good.
Goodness. Wow. What a tearjerker.
What's it called again?
I gotta look that up.
Don't.
I need Joe Rogan's guy who looks everything up.
You need a producer.
A producer.
It's Leave Me. No, I know it. I'm gonna get it. I can hear it in my head right now.
You're on the right line.
I know. And lead me and be me. And what is oh my God. I've watched this so many times. Who is Madonna?
Who is Madonna, really?
I don't know.
She looks weird now.
I know.
She's great though. We love her. No harassment. No suing, please.
And feed me.
You're so close.
I know.
You're so close.
Bleed me. Ew.
What am I doing?
Breathe me. Breathe me?
Yeah.
Is it called Breathe Me?
Apparently, yeah.
Breathe Me.
Devastating song.
It's so good.
Devastating song.
It's so good. I almost didn't remember it. No, it's a great song.
Well,
It's a good one. Also, actually, the opening of 6 Feet Under, that song is really cool
I can't
too.
remember what that was.
It's just like an instrumental.
That's it.
Da-da-da-da-da,
That sounds like an 80s action adventure show. That was Magnum PI, I think.
Oh yeah, you're right.
The Fall Guy? Do these mean anything to you? You're too young for all of those
John.
shows. You're too young for
I don't know.
All my favorite TV theme songs were from shows from 30 years ago. The ER theme song.
I really want to say Friends, but
I can't allow that in this space.
Never mind then.
I know. This was a point.
But I will be there for you.
I know you will, and I appreciate that. But there was a great bone of contention between the two of us anytime we've been on the road.
I know, that's true. Seinfeld Friends.
Yeah, and they aren't friends.
We were on a break. Okay.
There's one more question from the audience. And we want to thank you all for being here today.
Yeah, thanks for the questions. I love all of you.
Of all the places you've lived, where would you like to stay? And is it Evansville, Indiana?
Well, I do love Evansville, Indiana, but I would not stay there forever. No offense to everyone I still know in Evansville, Indiana.
I have a big demographic there. Big fans of the show.
Actually, I want to go play a show there.
Do you?
Well, I still know people there, sort of.
Okay. Well, let's get the list here. You've lived in Paris. You've lived in Thailand.
I was born in Bangkok, Thailand.
Argentina.
Buenos Aires,
Vancouver.
Paris, New York, Vancouver.
London. Evansville. Windsor.
I can't seem to figure out where I'm supposed to live.
There's a theme here. There's a pattern. California, right? Nashville.
Okay, where would I stay? If
you had to pick one and live there forever.
Well, okay, I've thought about this a little bit. I wouldn't pick this as to stay there and live there forever, but the one place that I've never returned to since living there was Buenos Aires, and I would love to do that.
All right.
Because I just feel it would be such an amazing trip and I think it would pull out a lot of stuff that maybe I forgot and that I buried. Because I think I was 10 when we moved there, and when we left there, I was 13. So those years were, it was a crazy place to live. I still have friends who are so dear to me and close to me that I met when I was 12 that we still keep in touch.
Wow.
One of my friends, Emma, she now lives in Spain, but she was living in Philly for a long time. And when I moved to New York, we got together. And then also when I lived in Paris, she spent 6 months there. She's French. Oh, she's from there. And so we just reconnected all throughout our lives in this, we're in the same, orbit for a while, same constellation.
Maybe there's a song.
So that was kind of cool. I haven't seen her in a few years though. So I should probably move to Spain.
You obviously.
I think it's got to be. This is really hard because I feel like all the places that I lived are almost different lives.
That's
and
true.
They represent so much more.
Yeah, if you can separate the place from the experience.
If I can, is that the question? Okay.
I don't know if that's the question or not. I'm interpreting.
I know that I want to end up if I'm, my last years, I want to be in Thailand. I want to float on the Andaman Sea. And I definitely want to be there. But if I didn't do what I do, I think I would go just live there.
Okay, fair enough.
But I think this is a really hard question.
We're not trying to stress you out here. You can say Thailand. It's okay.
Maybe just for if it was an alternate, I would want to go to Thailand and run a beach club there.
What do you like about Thailand?
Everything.
Do you have Thai citizenship?
No, they don't.
They don't work. Doesn't work that
Thai,
way.
Yeah. I have a Thai sister-in-law and a half Thai niece.
Mm-hmm.
There's something spiritual about it that is just an energy that you feel when you're there.
I felt
I
that
think-
in Japan.
Yeah, and I think just being there when I was a baby did something to the way I feel when I'm there, maybe, and just the experiences I've had there. It's beautiful. It's I mean, especially like in Bangkok, it's a very crazy and complicated place. Like 1 minute you're at a temple and you're seeing the most beautiful things ever, and a block away or half block away you're in extreme poverty situations. There's a lot of weird stuff that happens there, but there's just, I don't know, there's something about that place that my heart's always brought me back there. It just I feel free there.
That's where you were born. I mean, there's something about that.
Yeah.
That's where you chose to enter.
I did. I was like, I need to get in here.
This is the place. So there's something to that.
Yeah.
So I can see that. There's one question we forgot. And Philly Pat, I don't want to diss him here. So
oh, yeah. Philly Pat.
We
love you. He's in Australia right now.
I know. Good for him.
He's offered to be our tour bus driver when we tour anywhere, ever.
Oh, that's great, because I don't want to be.
Me neither. I'm sick of it.
Yeah, I'm not into it at all. So you're hired, Philly Pat. And he can be security as well.
Yeah.
He asked if we remember what AC/DC song we covered at his 50th birthday party.
Of course.
I remember that night very well.
Philly Pat, also, I just want to thank you for being such an amazing supporter. I mean, everyone that sent in questions, and I have some really good, I got some good people.
You do.
So Philly
Absolutely.
Pat, thank you. You've always been there and sharing all the music, and we played Shook Me All Night Long.
That's right.
That was a lot of fun, and I was so scared I was going to screw it up, and I probably did. I couldn't remember all the lyrics, but I tried my best. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of Labatt 50s running around that night.
There were, and we waited until enough of them were consumed before we played that one. So
Yeah,
we sound a lot better after a couple of those, right? Shook Me All Night
Should
Long.
bring that one back along with the Metallica
with
song
the
we
Metallica
covered.
cover we do. Yeah, of course. We could do a whole kind of set of 80s metal covers.
We have a lot of really good ideas.
We have so many ideas that we're not.
We should follow through.
We're not executing on any of them, but we got great ideas.
Let's remind ourselves.
Well, it's not like I don't have time.
I'm going to show up here every day and we're going to rehearse all these songs.
All these songs and never.
We're going to be
play them
so ready for that halftime show.
when they want someone to do Carlified 80s metal covers.
It's going to be good.
I got a whole list of them we can do. It'll be great.
I have many lists.
We've said enough.
We've said enough.
We've said enough this time.
I just want to say one more thing.
Okay.
Congrats on following through and sticking to doing this podcast. It's awesome.
Thank
You're doing
you.
a great job.
Thank you.
I have listened to so many of them while driving. I don't think I've heard all of them. I cannot tell a lie to your face because you're looking right at me right now. But no, I mean, I've been pretty inspired by just your commitment to this and doing it. And it's some great content, and you're nearing like 200 episodes, I think. So I just want to say kudos, congratulations. It's awesome.
Thank you.
And thank you for having me on your show twice.
It's always my pleasure. You are most welcome here.
You are the MVP in my heart.
That's okay. Thanks. Okay. That's great.
You're my Taylor Swift.
You say that to all the podcast hosts.
No, I want to go on more podcasts, but I'm already in my head being like, what did I say right now? I don't like listening to my own voice.
You would answer a lot of questions about how you write a song.
Okay, cool.
And I try to avoid those questions, but the audience.
I always feel like I start talking in weird circles and then I don't really say much at all.
No, you do. Sometimes you say really great things. I'm very rarely listening, so
I'm trying.
I just tune.
I'm not going to listen to this.
Yes, you are. This has been wonderful. I'm glad you're back around for a little bit.
Same here. I'm excited. I'm stoked to play music with you again because it's going to happen. I'm on a bit of a writing time right now, but I think in the summer it's going to be lit up.
I will be here, and I have so much room in my calendar.
All right. Sweet.
So book me up. All right. Thanks so much for coming in. And,
of course.
Say goodbye, Carly Thomas.
Thanks for having me. Goodbye, Carly Thomas.
Goodbye, Carly
I
Thomas.
love you.
Huh. Don't we all love Carly Thomas? Until next time, cheers.
All right. Cheers. You shook me all night long. Yeah, you shook me all night long. Oof.